Rachel Kirkland, the Modern Shaman, and I am here for some question and answer time. If you're new, I will tell you please subscribe, comment, connect, share these videos if you feel like you vibe with them. Also, feel free to visit my website, which is just themodernshaman.net. And on there's a lot of information if you love this type of material that has to do with psychic development and the workshops that I teach that also can get you connected to my Facebook community and any live streaming events that I do on there, as well as just one-on-one sessions that you may want to sign up to have with me. Those are all available on the website, and there's more info there on how to get connected with me. Okay. So let's jump into the question for today. This one was sent in and she says, "Hi Rachel, can you please give me some advice on how to step into the spiritual work that I'm called to do with confidence and remove the fear of being judged?" The first time I ever did a YouTube video, my first video, I was terrified. I don't know that I overcame this, but I was very nervous about it. Spirit had told me and put it on my heart to do it, so I had this strong sense of duty and purpose. And but I made that video and I was like I filmed myself. I wouldn't watch it. I told myself I'm not gonna watch it because then I'll talk myself out of posting it. And then I posted it, and I posted it in all these groups, and I posted on my page, and then I didn't go on Facebook for like a week because I was terrified of seeing the response, and it was a big step for me. So just from personal experience, I will tell you that it's okay to be in that space. If you're feeling like you have to get to some space where you're like, woo, here I am, I'm ready world, I'm full of confidence and so comfortable on the stage and so comfortable in front of the video, and that takes time, and I feel like just give yourself a little break, cut yourself some slack at the beginning, because it gets easier, and I feel like I got more comfortable with certain roles as I perform them more and more. And I think sometimes there's still things that are scary or have a little bit of stage fright or have a little bit of excitement or have that anticipation because they're new. That's just how life is when it's a new experience, when it's us in an avenue that we're not familiar with completely. We have to have a sense of being okay with that thrill, being okay and kind of viewing it that way, like, ooh, there's a little anxiety, those are butterflies in my stomach, instead of like, I've got stage fright, you know what I mean? It's like, those are butterflies, let's let them be butterflies. Let's have a sense that anticipation or that excitement is there. And even if it's flat out fear, I would say that's okay too. My advice on that would just, in terms of confidence and the fear of being judged, to disarm it in a way. When you don't fear the fear, or you don't think anything's wrong with feeling that way, or you don't think, obviously you don't want to be locked up to where you're like, but recognizing it, giving it a sense of place, like, yes, that's normal because this is my first video, or this is normal, the way that you have your sense of self-talk, being okay with the fear, it just disarms it. It takes that sense of power away from everything. It almost like neutralizes it. Like, yes, I'm just going to take a deep breath and then I'll step on the stage anyways. You get used to a sense of practice with this new feeling. This is a big deal. And really, this is with all things in life, not just moving into a spiritual career. I do feel like there is a sense of vulnerability that comes in where you feel very exposed. And like you said, this fear of being judged, it's a very personal space. And I will say, I had to do my own sense of self-work to be okay with that level of exposure to myself, with being okay with admitting that this is who I am. Even though it was to my core, there is still a sense of, similar to when an artist has been journaling or working in their own little personal portfolio but has never showed it to anyone, or been writing their own poetry for years and never asked anyone to see it. When you move into a shared space with a community of the world saying, this is me, there is that sense of vulnerability or fear of being judged for who you are, that you almost feel like, I'm going to take it more personal than I normally would because this is truly, truly my heart. And I think just being okay with that, holding a space of love for any and all responses, is really important. So first thing I would say in terms of advice is just go for it, beyond the fear. Like I said, that first video that I did, it's not that I had overcome the fear, I just did it anyway. and that's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say that was scary, that was a new venue for me, or that was something I'd never done before, or that was something I'd never shared before. That was, it's all right to feel that way. There's nothing wrong. It's an appropriate response to have a sense of nervousness to that level of exposure to yourself. But I would just say, do it anyways. Have a sense of following through with what you know that your heart and your soul has told you to do. And then that leads me to my second piece of advice, which would be just to keep focused as much as possible on your sense of purpose and your sense of loving what you do, your sense of personal alignment with what you do. And I don't know, because I didn't tune into it, what your other previous field is that you've been, you said you've been working in other fields for a long time. Whatever you did before, you may have loved it, but amplifying and really reminding yourself that this is truly me and I love doing this. I feel more in alignment with myself than I ever have been. I feel more in alignment with my truth than I ever have been. I feel more purposed in my interaction with my clients than I ever have felt before. And that really keeps you going, okay? Because even this sense of removing, like you said, the fear of being judged by others, you'll always, I'm sorry, but you just kind of always have scoffers in life. You always have people that like to dig up the drama, or people that become personally offended by your choices or your, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to get rid of that or cancel that out in order to be at peace. Okay? That part of the peace is in you with just saying, like I said earlier, disarming it by not really validating the power in those things. Like, they come and they go. And sometimes it hurts, It's just like life. Sometimes there are things that hit you and it hurts. It's not like it never offends you anymore, It still comes in, and if you're soft and you have a tender heart, you may still be affected. That's okay. Just being okay with that. Having a sense of I know me, and I know that sometimes when people say things hurtful, it still hurts, and I get people that send comments in on different videos, or people that have said things to me, or people that, family and friends that have just kind of cut off communication since they found out that I was a psychic. That's okay. I think you just have to have a sense of peace with the fact that people's response is their own energy and their own need to stand in their own truth. Sometimes that comes at you very combatively and with derogatory comments, and or whatever their judgment may come to you in. And I will tell you, just from personal experience, when I used to get those, it would put me back energetically for a few days. I would be like, oh my gosh, this person says I was the devil, and they said all this. And I feel like, oh, do I have to respond? How do I want to interact with this? And it energetically used to get to me a lot more than it does now. Now I'm just like, it's okay. And I just delete it, and it may hit me for a little bit, and I'll be like, man, that's a bummer. That's a total bummer. And then I'll just be like, it's all right. They're just stating what they feel like is important to state. They're just sharing where they feel like it's like they have to get it out. So it's okay. You know, I can be at peace with the fact that they're doing what they feel like is right. And still hold a space of like not needing to engage. Now I just kind of delete those comments. But even sometimes, like I said, with things that are more personal, with relationships or family members or things that you feel like, oh, this is going to be tough for some people that are in my love community or whatnot. That sense of just loving them even in their response that seems harsh, you know? And this is all relational dynamics. I mean, there are times with just any kind of relationship, family relationship, friends, romantic relationship, where the interaction feels like their response is something that you didn't anticipate, or you wish they would have a different response. But they're coming from a place where they feel like this is the best they got in that moment, and just holding that space for them, like that's what they feel like the right thing to do is, even if it is excommunicate me. Like I said, I don't feel like any of these things go away or they just suddenly don't exist. It's just that the energy behind them stops having as much power over your life. I think the last piece of advice I will give you in here is just to really, really be present when you're doing your spiritual work. So much so that everything else pales in comparison. You know, reminding yourself, like, in this interaction, whatever spiritual work it may be, remember, this is like soul to soul work. I mean, it's so purposed and it goes so deep. And whether it's healing and you're having miraculous healings, or it's clients that you're sitting with and they're crying and having breakthroughs and feeling so loved in your presence, or feeling like it's important, and reminding yourself of those interactions. I feel like in those times, just being so present, it just makes all the other stuff feel like little ants or little anthills. You know, it's okay. Like those things, you can just let them be. Those people, you can just let them be. It's okay. You don't have to have a sense of explaining yourself to them or worrying that they view you incorrectly. It's okay. Because in this moment, it's worth it. It's worth every bit of it. It's worth the judgment. It's worth the name calling, because this person that you're sitting with is getting healing, is getting love, is getting validation, is getting something that's so deep and so important and so purposed. And you are in alignment with yourself. You're not pretending. You're not faking it. You're being wholeheartedly present in your spiritual work. So just staying in that space that is so present, so purposed, so full of love and honor and integrity, and that will bleed out into those other things. That energy that you're amplifying, that you're being, that you're emanating, will just make those little relational interactions that sometimes are frictional, that sometimes hurt, they'll be okay. They're not debilitating. They're just peaceful, even in the pain, even in that there's a sense of like, yeah, it hurts, but it's okay. Or like, I'm going to delete it and let it be. It becomes easier, and a sense of flow and grace, even in those interactions. So I'm sending you my love and my just kind of cheerleading, amplified, go you sense of self of like, do it. It's worth it. It's worth every single knock on your ego. Who cares? This is my freaking heart, and this is my service, and this is how I will love in every inch of myself. And I will love you even in the way that you react to my choices. That's okay too. You see what I'm saying? And so in a way, it just makes you broader and better and stronger and more at peace with any and all sense of interactions. So, mwah, loving you.